What if one of the worst things that ever happened to you is actually the raw material to create your most impactful and profitable work? Look, I know that might sound crazy, right? That's wild to even think about that the worst thing that could have ever happened to me is actually the raw material for me to build something, to construct something, to deliver something that has impact, that transforms the lives of people. And it's profitable. I make money. I can become rich or wealthy from doing that. That's what I want to talk to you about in just these few minutes. Um, One of the things that is often overlooked when we talk about success and business and wealth and entrepreneurship um, is your story. Now, I know you're probably saying, I've heard, people talking about taking your story, tell your story, and that's true. But I'm talking about really analyzing your story and looking at your past experiences, your pain, your trauma, and learning how to take those experiences, not only to relieve ourselves of the thought, because I once read that your brain hardly ever forgets any of these bad experiences. That's why it's called trauma. And anytime you have a similar experience, this is what we call triggers. But there are different schools of thought. There have been different people. I won't go into all of the different names right now. People who've really uh, dug into this subject to understand that the brain never forgets these things. So it's our job and our duty to go into the brain, go into our thinking, go into our past, and find ways to transform those experiences into positive experiences, right? Or use that to turn it into a future positive outcome. That's the only way for us to be relieved of this trauma, or else it becomes this cycle of being triggered and not escaping the pain or the sorrow of what happened. And so one of my favorite thinkers is an entrepreneurial thinker, a gentleman named Dan Sullivan. He has this concept of taking our past experiences, both negative and positive. So I'm only dealing, we'll talk about the positive at another time, but I just want to talk about the negative today, because I think this is where a lot of us get stuck, is that if I can't get past this hurdle, if I can't get past this trauma, I can never be successful. I can never do the things I really want to do because I don't feel worthy. I don't feel excited, motivated, energized, because there's this thing that has trapped me in my past. And so Dan Sullivan has this thing where you take your traumas, your failures, whether it's loss, and you transform them. Again, he used the language, it becomes the raw material for the solutions that we're going to create for ourselves to relieve us of the trauma. But now taking that solution to our own problems, our new view of that past experience, and extracting the lessons from it, the benefits of it, and now taking that and packaging that, and now utilizing that to build a future, a more impactful future, a bigger, better, brighter future, not just for yourself, but now others who would encounter those same obstacles, those same challenges, those same difficulties, those same traumas. Now, when they're looking for an answer, they're looking for a solution. Now, here you are with something that could help them along their journey. And here's the reality: people will pay to be relieved of pain. I think we all experience this. Whenever we're in pain, you'll spend, depending upon the degree of the pain, you'll spend money to relieve yourself of that pain. And whatever the degree of that pain, if it's severe pain, you'll spend more if you have it, right? If you have it, right? If you don't have it, sometimes we suffer in that pain, but we're still looking for the solutions, right? The workaround, or the how do I get over this or under it or around it. We're still looking for a way to deal with this pain or this hurt or this challenge, or in using the business terminology that everybody's saying nowadays, find a problem and solve it. And that's true, but everybody's got problems. You're going to have, you, being born means that you're going to encounter problems after problems after problems, but learning how to zone in on specific problems that are unique to us, right? I've heard it say, find a problem and solve it. It's not that just find a problem and solve it. No, I need to solve my own problems. And in doing that, now I'm fueled with the knowledge and the wisdom and the experience to really transform that problem and help others with it. Just finding a problem that I don't feel the pain of, that I haven't experienced, it's difficult to come up with a working solution for that. And even if you do come up with a solution, it's very difficult to convince someone else that your solution works, because the sentiment is you don't know what I'm going through. If a person can sense that you don't know what they're going through, there's no way that you can have the solution. But if they sense that you know what they are going through and that you have overcome that, now they're willing to lend you an ear to hear your solution. And if your solution appears to be the answer to their problem or their pain or their trauma, they're willing to compensate you for that. So these are lessons. Once we go through these challenges, this trauma or these past experiences, and we learn how to analyze them properly. Again, I'm not talking about going into a trauma and wallowing in it and becoming depressed and all of that. No, there are methods of going into trauma and looking at it differently and transforming that trauma or that pain, that obstacle, into a learning experience, a lesson, processes, healing for yourself. That's really the ultimate goal, right? You heal yourself, you solve your problem, and now you can take that and you can create products and services, outlets, communities, memberships, courses, books, see, this is the intellectual property that we're talking about. So transforming those past experiences, that trauma, now learning the lessons, the processes, the wins. And here's something that most people don't say, but in that, if you do it properly, there's new knowledge, right? Because it's unique to you. And if you think about this properly, now you're coming up with something that's unique to you, but it's new knowledge. It's springing from your gift, your experience, and now it's not the same thing that people heard before, right? There's something, Brother B, I'd heard about telling my story before, right? But I never heard about telling my story this way, because most people like to tell us to tell our stories so that we can give the highlights, right? That they always tell you about, go through the valley. And so now, so it's taking people on this roller coaster, and that's fine. I'm not knocking anybody who's talking about that, but just going through and telling, here's my pain and blah, 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 blah. But you haven't transformed from that. You haven't healed from that. You haven't come up with new knowledge, new wisdom from that. I don't want to say it's not, telling your story is great, but healing from your story, I think, is greater, right? Being able to move on, and now your past is a place where you can go and begin to create new wisdom and new knowledge, because now you have a new way of looking at things, right? Not just telling your story, but analyzing these experiences. And think about this, you don't learn this in school, right? I don't care what, middle school, high school, college, you don't learn how to go into the recesses of your mind and your past experiences and look at the challenges, 2 to 3 of them, and look at how to connect this situation with this situation, what worked here and what worked here. And man, if I can connect that, here's something completely new that I can present to people, that I can share from my learning, from my past experience. Here's what I've learned, and here's where it's taking me into my future. Now that becomes something to have a conversation about. Now that piques the interest of someone who's looking for a solution. Now, again, not just what do they call it, like a pity party, right? Coming, two people with problems, they come together, it's a pity party. No, they're coming to find a solution. Look, brother, sister, can you help me? I'm all ears, because this is painful. I want a better life. I want a better future. I want a better marriage. I want better relationships with my children. I want better health. All right. I want a better business. That's kind of the air. How do I take this stuff, brother B, and turn it into intellectual property so that I can create something that people would love, that gives impact and solutions to help people, that heals them. Let them know what I lived through, and now they can live through it. How do I do that? And then you're telling me, brother B, that I can make money from that. I could possibly get rich or wealthy. That's a possibility, but you can make, worst case, you can make some money from it, right? You can generate some income, and that income can help fuel the refinement of the solutions that you're discovering, the answers that you're discovering, right? The new knowledge and wisdom that you're discovering, the new skills, because all of this is requiring new skills, new mindsets. Every time you do this, you're adding on new capabilities to who and what you are, which means you're getting better and better. And then the more you keep refining that, it gets more valuable to people. Remember, I've said it a gazillion times, you're standing on a mountain of value, but it needs to be mined, right? There's a gold mine in that mountain that we have to dig into, and we have to mine and sift through the gold and look at the different things that don't look like gold. Remember, it don't look like gold initially. It has to go through the fire, through a purification process. That's literally what this is, going into these experiences, your past experiences, learning how to identify and connect experiences to create new solutions. And again, all of this is called intellectual property, right? You're creating new thinking, new wisdom, new knowledge that can be packaged. You're connecting the dots to solve problems and issues. I think this is powerful. It's one of the angles that we're taking in the new 3-day mastermind that I've developed for people to partake of. It's one of those angles, right? So this is not, when we're talking about turning your intellectual property into wealth or assets or riches, right? We're not just saying create the same book that was created, by 100 other people, right? It has to be from your unique perspective. That's what makes it valuable. That's what creates the new reality for yourself, and then hopefully for people who are attempting to join you on the journey. So with that said, as I mentioned, we have a 3-day mini mastermind coming up. We're actually doing, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into this point on taking your trauma and transforming it into intellectual property in a free 60-minute session. I don't even want to call it a workshop. Again, it's not a typical webinar. It's a meeting. It's a session where I want to share with you some of the things that are working, some of the things that I'm doing, things that are not working, right? A lot of us don't like to talk about, our failures. And that's what this is all about. How take my experience and negative experience and show you, what's working and what's not working, that you can use to build upon, right? To help solve some of the challenges and issues that you may face. And so we're doing a free 60-minute session of my dear brother Myron Golden talked about unlocking the virtual, becoming a virtual millionaire, right? Which in essence, he's talking about taking your intellectual property and taking it online, right? So I'm trying to go a little deeper than just saying, take what you know, your knowledge, a certain skill and put it online to make money? Can you take past experiences that are unique to you and transform them into products and services and intellectual property that nobody even thought existed? That you become, as another marketer wants, he calls it, you become the category of one, right? You become the person that this solution is unique to you, right? I've had people literally pass me, in passing, and point at me and say notification of payment received, right? So they identified, even notice I didn't make that up, but that experience and the way that I delivered notification of payment received, which is ingrained in this teaching. So this is literally notification of payment received upgraded to 2025 and beyond with some AI sprinkled in and all of this good stuff. But that's unique to me to see people say that, when they receive a notification of payment received, they think, man, I thought about you when I got a notification of payment received. Something unique to me. I want to help you create something unique to you. So that free session on unlocking the virtual millionaire framework, kind of what I'm doing here, but I can't, I don't have enough time in this video to kind of go through a framework, kind of breaking down this framework. We want to unlock the framework. And a part of that framework is what we are talking about now, is taking your past experiences and transforming them into intellectual property that you can use to generate income, become rich and wealthy. But here's the key, and I'll close out on this, is that once you know how to do this, now you have a never-ending resource or place to go to get new intellectual property from your experiences. We're just talking. So think about this. If you can do it with negative experiences, imagine what you can do with the positive experiences that you have once you learn how to connect some of those experiences together and now create something brand new for the future. So this is your brother Bedford. There should be a link to join both the free 60-minute session on unlocking the virtual millionaire framework, which will include some of this. I'll take a step deeper into this. I can't give the full thing in this. This is a full, this is a part of the 3-day mini mastermind. And that's going to take a day by itself to do that. And so, but I can give you something because I want you to kind of have an aha moment that you do have intellectual property that could be monetized right now if you just know how to unlock that framework. And so that's what we're going to cover in the free 60-minute session. That's on Tuesday, May 27th. I don't know when you're watching this video, so the link will be below this video to kind of, this coming too. So if you're watching it afterwards, that means you've missed it, but still reach out because we may do it again, depending upon how this goes. This is beta, right? This whole process is to go into intellectual property this way, taking your knowledge, your experiences, your expertise, and your wisdom and your skills, and transforming them into intellectual property with the aid of AI is powerful moving forward. And so that's what we're going to be diving into. So this is beta. So we may do it again. I say that to say we may do it again. So if a link is below, click it. There may be a waiting list if you've missed the first one. But then also there's going to be the link to see what we're offering with the 3-day mini mastermind. So check that out. Then of course you can always reach out to me and have further discussions about this. So I hope that this video has been valuable, at least sparked some thinking as to what you can do with this baggage that we may be carrying. One for healing and, and revitalization of ourselves, but now to take that and be able to provide a healing or solutions to other people so that they can move to the next level in their lives. It can become very profitable. So this is your brother Bedford. Like, and share this video with anybody you think who may like it. And of course, I want to hear your comments. What do you think about this thinking process that I'm putting on video right here, right? I'm opening up Brother B's brain and I'm exposing it right here in this video. So tell me, what do you think about this line of thinking? Am I off? Have you thought about this? And do you think it's possible? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So this is your brother Bedford, and I'll talk to you again very soon in the next video. Take care.